Premiership by any means. And what was it, 20 minutes, 4 down, or 25, whatever it was. It was, I'd say, for the manager's point of view and the supporters' point of view of Manchester United, it was very, very difficult to watch and accept because it was so bad. You know, the goalkeeper made a couple of mistakes, there's no doubt about that, which wasn't good from Manchester United's point of view. But he wasn't the only one. It was just no spirit, no go. Brentford outplayed him. You know, this is going from the week before where it was a bad performance, and you'd expect him to pick up. You'd expect the manager to get a grip of them a bit, but it was worse. And it's very, very hard to take, I'd say, for Manchester United supporters.
It's very difficult to know what the approach was as well last Saturday, because we went from seeing, to everybody's surprise, in that opening game against Brighton where Christian Eriksen was deployed as a false nine, and I don't think that's a position that he's ever operated in during his career. And again, if anybody wants to text in, wants to tweet or whatever tonight and say that he did it for Ajax here and there, or he did it for Spurs on occasion, it's certainly not somewhere we're used to seeing him being deployed, that's for sure. And then he went into a role that he's almost equally as unaccustomed to, which is playing as a deep-lying midfielder, which suggests that for one of your key summer signings, you don't really know what to do with them. I think it just left a lot of people scratching their heads.
Well, that's one element of it, Richard. There's no doubt about it. But there were so many other things happened that were bad. I mean, the whole spirit of the team, defending, not defending. What was Ronaldo up to? You know, this thing has been going on a long time at Manchester United. We had the interim manager after 4 years of Solskjaer, who was, in my opinion, never up to the job. The interim managers just don't work. And then we got a new manager in, and I think the only player that played, it was Martinez, that he signed during the summer. I thought when they get a new manager in the summer, there should be at least 4 or 5 players, new players, good players, coming into the Manchester United squad. That hasn't happened, you know, at all in any way. You know, if you look at Notts Forest, for example, Notts Forest, a team just come up in the second division. They bought about 6 players. They
bought 10 more than that, John. I think they're on their 16th signing in the summer.
Was it 16?
Today, yeah.
Well, you know, that's making sense for a team that's coming up hoping to stay up there. This is Manchester United, which their own supporters are hoping for them to win the league, or certainly be up and challenging for the league. So it's a total mess, Richie. There's no doubt about that. And where he's going from there. I mean, you saw him after the match. Everybody saw him after the match. And he looked like a man, to me, that was shocked. You know, actually shocked at what was going on. He couldn't answer any questions. And I don't blame him. But how has it got to this stage at Manchester United that, you know, during the summer when they got the new man, they knew they needed players, new players coming in. They were getting players out of the club. And it comes to matches like the weekend, and I think there was only one player in the team, a new player that they bought. You know, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, Lisandro Martinez, I think, was that new signing that had come in, and was the only one that had really sat. Well, Christian Eriksen obviously was there too, and then Tyrone Malacia is on the bench. There's another new signing from Feyenoord. They've been linked with a whole plethora of players. We saw the pantomime that went on with the links to Arnautovic, the protests against signing him essentially from people online. That was a contributing factor to them not pursuing that particular signing. They've been linked with several players in the past couple of days. Casemiro from Real Madrid, the midfielder, is the latest name to be linked to Manchester United today. But this scattergun approach just speaks to a lack of organisation from the top down at the club, and this from the top down, I mean above the manager's head. There doesn't seem to be a case of the right hand knowing what the left hand's doing there in any sense.
No, the manager has to lead. But we have the problem too, or he has the problem that he hasn't done very well on, which is the Ronaldo problem. You know, Ronaldo a few weeks ago in one of the friendly matches was taken off and disappeared out of the dressing room before the team came in. And next thing but then he's back in the team. Well, you can't run a club like that. You're talking about morale, and what's morale? It's people getting together for the benefit of the team, play for the benefit of the team, giving everything for the team. Well, that can't be the case. I mean, the players are there, experienced players, looking at the situation and thinking, well, how does Ronaldo get away with that? You know, it's dreadful. I can't get words to describe it. And Manchester United, you know, one of the best clubs in the world, and they're in a situation now after 2 matches in the Premiership, not against the best teams even, with 0 points, and we don't know what's going to happen. Where are the players that lined up? Has he been given the authority to sign the players that he wants? Have they backed him up? Have the management backed him up in getting the players that he wants in? You know, they've known for a while that he's going to be the manager, and you would have imagined that they'd get the players in no matter what it took for the start of the season, and it's not happened. And then you see what we see, which is, you know, two dreadful displays: no spirit, no go, no team spirit. The manager looks in a shock condition. You know. This is not Manchester United by a long way. I
saw quotes in the paper there. You'd remember more than me, obviously. Willie Morgan was the Manchester United captain when they were relegated in 1974, and he came out and claimed, and I'm sure this is coming from a place of anger more than anything else as well, and frustration at the current situation. But he's saying that the way the current crop of players are performing are certainly worse and showing even worse spirit than was shown in 74. And I don't think under Tommy Docherty or whatever back then that there would have been a lack of spirit. It was just I don't know, there was a certain X factor missing, and there was, you know, they'd gone through turmoil post Busby leaving and all that kind of stuff. But they certainly seem to be lapsing it. Like, we're talking about them playing Brighton and Brentford in the first two games of the season. It's not as if they've gone and been hammered by Man City and Liverpool. Like, these are games that look like when, you know, the computer fixture, or the fixture computer, pardon me, works as magic in the summer. You look at your opening fixtures, and people who kind of do these things say, well, there's, you know, 3-4 winnable games there for United in the first 5, and they've made a hames of both of them. So you kind of question where they are going to go next year.
Yeah, well, that does happen before, because you never know. Yeah, everybody can say they should win this and should win that, and you can get some very, very. Some games that go against you and a bit of bad luck, you know. But the 2 matches that we're talking about, not bad luck, just bad displays where they deserve to be beaten by both teams in the weekend. And it's the whole mess decision, the Ronaldo situation. Ronaldo wants to go, they won't let him go. He gets in the team, he gets out of the team. And it's just a lack of spirit, endeavour, whatever you want to call it. Players having a go. But that's like, we're 4-0 down after a half hour at the weekend. You know, against a team that played well, Brentford not going to be one of the top teams in the league by any means.
But they'll always be well organised to a degree.
Well organised, good spirit, good morale. That's because the manager's done the job. He's been there a few years now. He's done a really good job, and that's what. But what is morale? Morale is a sense of everybody being happy in the club. They're going out to play for the team. They're going out to play for each other. Going out there to have a go. Whatever way you want to describe it, that's what you do. And being well organised. And then you got Manchester United. All the things that I've said there, they didn't do. They didn't have a go. They weren't well organised. They got 4 down.
Yeah, at the beginning of that capitulation, of course, John, was that flub and that real howler by David De Gea in goal to essentially let the ball slip through his hands and into the net. His confidence appears to be shot from a position whereby he was clearly positioned as the number 1 goalkeeper at United, head and shoulders above Dean Henderson last year, to the point that Henderson, I think, only got like 3 cup appearances and everything else was De Gea. But they now have Erik ten Hag in charge, who, of course, coming from the Ajax school, wants to play out from the back and wants his keepers to be able to do that as well. We now have a situation where it looks like De Gea, particularly as we saw for that second goal, doesn't appear capable of doing that, and there's now questions over whether he should continue on in goal, and they're now being linked to goalkeepers, which is the scare around all of this now. But I don't know if you've ever seen a keeper like that just take a complete nosedive in confidence.
No, it's a second match, and I don't think he should be asked to play out from back. I don't think goalkeepers should expect to be good on the ball, to be honest, Richie. And it was a bad pass anyway to Eric. It should never have been passed to him in that particular situation. But where was the fight back? This happened. Those 2 goals happened very early on in the match. So if you're in the right team, obviously you take it and say, okay, we'll have a go from now on in. But you don't stop or start to play like Manchester United played after what was those 2 goals that he gave away for in the first 15 minutes?
There was a span of about 25 minutes, 22, 25 minutes, somewhere in that kind of region, from about the 12th minute of getting this right to the 35th. Yeah. And that's when it all went.
Yeah, but they weren't dominating the game in between those second goals. You know what I mean? And then you go, okay, so the goalkeeper was at fault. There's no doubt for the 2 goals, no doubt about that. But where's the fight back? It just didn't happen, and that's on the back of the display the previous week, where De Gea didn't make mistakes, and the goal and the manager being interviewed afterwards. I don't think he knows where he is. To be honest, he just looked in shock, and whether that's going to improve or not, we don't know. But it's a very, very worrying situation for the position that Manchester United are in after only 2 matches played in the season, and not against what's considered to be the top teams.
Yeah, and they've only got the 1 goal, of course, between those 2 games as well, which is a worry that I don't think has been kind of brushed over a little bit. Is that it's not as if they're scoring, they're also just conceding for fun at the minute, particularly from set pieces as well, and Brentford were certainly out to exploit that. Lisandro Martinez, as you mentioned there, one of their big signings from Ajax during the summer, one of the few that probably Ten Hag has had agency over this summer. But a lot has been made obviously about his height, and we've seen good centre halves who aren't 6 foot before. The likes of like Fabio Cannavaro has obviously made a hell of a career for himself, by being under 6 foot and still being a good centre half. But Brentford seemed capable of exploiting Lisandro Martinez's lack of height last week and just sticking someone like Ben Mee, who's like 6 foot, 6'4", 6'5", on top of him. You're going to get change out of him.
Well, the way the players are so skillful now and getting the ball into the right position. I think you could have a player of that size in that position as long as you've got other players for the dead ball situations to be able to handle it, Richie.
Yeah.
And he was expected to do that, and he was all over the place for the goal. So it's not the ideal situation of. I think he's the only new player in the team. Well, apart from
Eriksen, yeah.
Eriksen, in the team to be able to take charge of it, and that was a bad mistake, obviously. But it was the whole situation with Manchester United from the start of the match to the finish. It was like they weren't trying a leg.
Yeah,
that's the way it was. And the manager looking at them, there's no what the hell is going on. Nobody knows what's going on. But the manager has had a few weeks to get players in situations that he wants to get them in, and there's nothing happening, Richie.
They're kind of linked here and there with players, and it seems a bit scattergun. I'm just wondering, John, what can you do in a situation like this to kind of stem the bleeding?
Well, it's very, very difficult, Richie. But I think what you've got to do, you've got to sort out the Ronaldo situation straight away. You have to do that. I mean, he's a huge personality, been a great player for years, and you're in a situation where he's left in a match, disappears, doesn't turn up for training the early part of the season, is in the team, out of the team. You can't have that situation. A team is a team where they all pull together. And Ronaldo has stated from a while back, he definitely wants to go. I think his agent has some deal lined up, and he wants to go. Well, if a player wants to go, Richie,
get rid.
He has to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough in a team having everybody pulling together, and that's what you need, and that's where you get the team spirit. But if one of the outstanding players in football is saying, I want to go, how can you have a team pulling together if you're doing that? Where's the team spirit? What is the team spirit if everybody's not pulling together?
Would you have made anything of those scenes afterwards? And some people kind of decided to highlight it. I don't know if I give it that much credence, but the scenes of Ronaldo essentially, either whatever way you want to read it, either he blanked Ten Hag or Ten Hag blanked him as they were walking off the pitch. I don't know if that's something that you picked up on at the time.
Well, I don't think it's been right, the relationship since the new managers come in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not right. I mean, he was late turning up for training because he was supposed to have family situation, right? Then he's left out in the match and he's subbed, and he disappears before the team come in. That's enough to tell you, well, I can't put up with this guy.
Yeah.
And he's don't forget, he said from the start of the season he wants to go. Well, if a personality like Ronaldo and a top player like that wants to go, then he has to go. Get him out. Get him out of the place. Instead of trying to hang on and saying, you're not going and I want you to play. It doesn't happen, Richie. And all the players are in the same dressing room as him.
Yeah.
Knowing that he wants to go. How do you expect to have a team spirit and the team is up, everybody's going to pull together? Because they'll be judging the players. The other players will be judging the manager in that situation. They'll be saying, what's the manager doing? Why doesn't he get him out?
We've got a couple of weeks until the transfer window closes, obviously, maybe even a little bit less than that. What kind of players should United be targeting? Because they clearly are active in the transfer market. They haven't secured anyone as of yet amongst these latest, tranche of negotiations, etc. What kind of player do you think, judging on these first two performances, do they need to at least kind of plug a couple of gaps there?
Well, I don't know any names, Richie.
But even the type of player, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're looking for, first of all, you're looking for players who want to come to the club, who want to play for Manchester United, who want to play for the manager. Right, that's the start. That's your starting point. So when they go out in the field, they're doing the best they possibly can, and you get the team spirit going. Right, obviously you're looking for as good players as you can get in any position, but Manchester United should be in a situation where, and I think the manager should be in a situation that he knows exactly who he wants, and then he's got to be backed by the Manchester United board or whoever's in charge of giving him the money to do it. We don't know what the situation is there. We don't know whether he has the authority to get the players in he wants or not. At the moment, it doesn't look like it because he has hardly got any players in at the moment, Richie. And he would have a list, or should have a list of players as a manager in that situation, of players that he wants, that he knows these are good players, I want them, I really want to get them now. So we don't know. We don't know what the situation is there. But the fact that what we do know is he hadn't got the players in. He just hasn't had the players in. He's had Martinez, the centre-back, as you say, maybe one or two other lads who are not in the team. You've got Ronaldo, who doesn't want to be there in the team. So it's a mess. Yeah. That has to be sorted out. Well, but I think the Ronaldo situation is a must and has been there in front of him before he come into the club.
Yeah, it's probably a situation he doesn't have authority to deal with. It's we'll get on to their next opponents a little bit later on, but the football show is brought to you by Sky. Get all the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sport. John, I want to touch on this major, we talked about kerfuffles and all that on the sideline with Ronaldo and Ten Hag or one ignoring the other. We got quite the opposite on Sunday between Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel. They obviously had words after the Spurs equaliser. Those words became a pretty fraught handshake and some more heated words at the full-time whistle, resulting in both of them picking up red cards off the referee. What did you make of this first major confrontation of the Premier League season between Tuchel and Conte? I didn't like it, Nathan. I've heard somebody saying it was great entertainment. I didn't find it great entertainment. I thought it was very, very bad for the game. And I thought Tuchel was more to blame than Conte. Yeah. Especially at the end when they were shaking hands and he wouldn't let his hand go. And I think he was actually saying, look at my eyes when I'm shaking your hand. For heaven's sake. Why does anybody have to look in his eyes and he won't let go of his hand? And obviously the VAR results went against him. And he's not unlike most other managers when that happens. VAR is the worst thing in the world. When it goes for you, there's no problem with it whatsoever. But I didn't think it was good. I mean, he was chasing up the line at one stage. I know I've been a fan of his. I must say, I think he's done a really good job.
I think Chelsea were unlucky to lose the game. I think Spurs stuck at it. And so I think a few months ago they would have been beaten 5 or 6-0 before Conte came into Spurs, and he's given them a bit of heart and a bit of go. Now he is a real manager, and I think Tuchel has done a good job so far in a very difficult situation. But I didn't like the attitude and what happened between the two managers at the weekend.
There was also the blaming of referee Anthony Taylor as well, saying afterwards, Thomas Tuchel singling him out, basically saying that we've had him before, and you know, there's been decisions that he's made that have gone against us, and we've spoken to the players and they have an issue with him as well. You're dealing in very dicey territory there, because you're talking about a man, you're talking about a human being at the end of the day, and you're making kind of, you know, everybody wants to believe in conspiracy theories these days, and everybody wants to read something that confirms their own biases. But it's very hard to, you know, if you actually analyse these things and you have a bit of common sense about you, it's hard to believe that referees are out there in the Premier League with, you know, ingrained biases against teams, and that, you know, he's gone out into a Chelsea game and gone, oh, I'm going to do these in now today, waiting to see what I get done against these. Like, that's ludicrous stuff, and to be pointing a finger in that manner so strongly is a very, very dangerous game for a manager to be playing.
Yeah, well, it's a very emotional game, that, as we know, Richie. You know, and when you lose or draw, like when they were in front, and VAR went against them, and you see it nearly every week. When the VAR goes against the manager, it's the worst thing in the world. When it goes their way, they never say a dicky bird. They never say, "Well, we did well by that."
Thanks to VAR. Yeah.
You know, they just don't. And I think what's happened as well, which is a separate issue, I think the managers in the little dugouts that they have, used to call them dugouts, are too close to each other, Richie.
Yeah.
This is a very emotional game where everybody's hot and bothered. They should be separated, with both managers halfway up the pitch from the touch line to the end of the pitch. The dugout should be way away from each other, because you can shout at you, you can shout what you're shouting. It causes rows, it causes all sorts of things. And I think that's one of the incidents up there. One of them was near the other. They're too near each other generally. But I think Tuchel's situation, because he was the one that came out badly with VAR, and he was really head up. I think he's a bit. Yeah. I think he's a bit emotional anyway, and so was Conte. I mean, Conte wasn't innocent, but I thought Tuchel's behaviour was exceptionally bad, and I think that the behaviour of both of them was bad for the game. I don't think it was good entertainment. I thought it was bad entertainment. But I think the best thing they can do is move the dugouts
one on
halfway up to one side and halfway up the pitch on the other side.
Well, you see, the one thing I'm thinking about here, John, is that this never happened back when you were a manager, you were a player, because I'm thinking of the dugouts they had in grounds back then, which were, like as you mentioned there, they were dug out of the ground. You were looking at like your eye level with the players' feet, and you had a slab of cement directly above you, so there was no chance of you hopping up in a head-up kind of manner. You'd end up with a big bruise on the top of your noggin.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Richie, in the early days, they used to be on the opposite side of the pitches.
Okay, I never realised that.
Yeah, they weren't beside each other, so they could shout and bawl and that, and that's what managers do and coaches do on that. Of course, they shout and they bawl and that, but if you're next to the guy, you know, we've seen quite a few rows because you should be allowed to shout and do whatever you want without being beside the opposition. You know, this is a very sort of emotional game where everybody gets very head up. You know, for free kicks, throw-ins, penalties, everybody's really head up. And it doesn't take much for a row to come out. We see quite a bit of it now. So they should be as far away from each other on that side of the pitch as you possibly can get them, so they don't hear what each other is saying, and then they can get on with the game. But I didn't think it was good for the game. No, I've seen a lot in the paper say it was great entertainment. I didn't think so. Yeah. And especially with Tuchel holding his hand at the end of it because he wasn't looking in his eyes. For goodness sake, you know, you want to grow up.
Yeah, nonsense stuff. You mentioned Spurs there. I'm interested to get your take on them. A lot of people had them. They did really canny business, I think you'd probably call it, in the transfer market this summer. Antonio Conte did the same in January. brought in players that he knew, could do a job. Kulusevski has turned out to be a revelation. Christian Romero, who I know was there beforehand, has got an injury, but he's been great in defence. And they just really chipped away, performed well, looked like they could possibly make that break to be a contender for a league title. You said there that in years gone they would have capitulated there and would have gotten beaten by 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But there is a steel there now about Spurs that I don't think has really been customary to Spurs sides of the past.
No, he's a real manager. Conte is a real manager. He's looked at the things he's done at other clubs. He's got into Spurs where they were in terrible situation. The managers weren't in charge of it. Levy was in charge of the situation. He wouldn't have that nonsense. And look at the players he's brought in. He hasn't spent a fortune, but he knows good players are in. He's a manager. You know, he's got a spirit going there. And I think if Chelsea played so well, if he hadn't been at Spurs and they were in their old ways, I think Chelsea would have won about 5-0, 5 or 6-0 in that match, where they didn't. Chelsea were very good, but they hung in there. There was a spirit about them. You can see it in Spurs. That's what a good manager brings.
Strikes me, you made the point before that Conte would have been an ideal candidate to win at United when they possibly had that. Yeah.
Definitely. And then it came out from Manchester United. They didn't want him because of the players that Manchester United had didn't suit him. Or they didn't, he didn't suit them. This is backwards. But then you put him in and he sorts out the players he has there. And if they're good, he'll make a team of them.
Yeah.
That's what Conte does. That's been his career. So when he went to Spurs, he insisted, I'm in charge of the comings and goings here. He hasn't spent a fortune. He's brought good players in, but if you look at the spirit that they had against Spurs, when they were up against it, they didn't pack it in. They stuck at it, and got the 2-2 draw in the end. I thought Chelsea were a better team, but Spurs stuck in and they got there, Richie. That's what good managers do. They make the best of what the players they've got, and when they get a player in, they get a good player in. If you look at Manchester United over the last 4 years, the amount of money they've spent, and definitely Solskjaer wasn't in charge of that situation. And we've got to wait now to see if this new manager is going to be in charge of the situation. It could be there that whoever's at the club there, for some reason, doesn't want Ronaldo to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Richie? They'd be saying, no, you can't get rid of him. We don't want him to go. And that's been the problem at Manchester United for the last 5 years, in my opinion. They haven't had a manager in there that's in charge of the situation like Conte is at Spurs and Klopp is at Liverpool and Guardiola at Manchester City.
It's fierce early days, obviously. We've only had 2 games of the season. I don't want to be making any snap judgments and don't want to be asking the same of you. But Spurs look like a team that could actually, bridge that gap between that chasing pack and Liverpool, Man City.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think Spurs are good enough. I don't think they're as good as City and Liverpool are at the moment. I don't think they're as good as Chelsea are at the moment. But they'll fight their way. They got into the top 4 last year, Richie.
They did.
And that was without spending. He spent a few more bob in the summer. So he's doing a good job. If you look where Spurs are now to where they were before he came in, he's done the job. And he'll get better and better, in my opinion. I think Tuchel has done a big job. All the managers mentioned. Now, is a new manager at Manchester United going to be given the tools to do the job? Has he got the authority to do it? We don't know. Yeah. At the moment, it doesn't look good. It's
the $64,000 question, I guess. And speaking of money, just reading there as well, Ajax have rejected a bid of €80 million tonight from Manchester United, from Anthony. That's a report from David Ornstein in The Athletic. John, I'll keep you on the line. Hold where you are for a minute because I want to talk Liverpool. They had an interesting outing. They've had 2 interesting outings, I guess. 2 draws against London sides to start off the Premier League season and a spate of injuries with which to deal as well. More from John Giles after these.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Don't miss Leeds take on Chelsea on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports. This weekend on News Talk, Focus Ireland and Bord Gáis Energy are calling on you to give up just one night and sleep out on October 14th to raise funds for vital services. This Sleep Out is an opportunity to step out of our comfort zones to get a deeper understanding of how we can come together as a community to fight homelessness in Ireland. Your support of Shine a Light Night will allow Focus Ireland to provide immediate and practical assistance to individuals, families and children trapped in homelessness. To find out more, go to newstalk.com/focus.
At Harvey Norman, we've got all the biggest brands and the latest technology for heading off to college. Stay productive and entertained with the HP 14S laptop with long-lasting battery life and powerful AMD Ryzen 7 processor. Ideal for gaming and fast programming. Now $799 save €300. Or maximise your exercise sessions with the Fitbit Inspire 2 fitness tracker. Now only €69 save $30. Shop in-store and online for huge savings on laptops, tablets, SIM-free phones, printers and more. Harvey Norman, off to college.
Your next move matters, so why not move better? Start your move to permanent TSB today. Apply in-app for our award-winning current account. So don't just move bank, move better. Apply in-app today. Applications for Explore Current Account in-app in sole name for over 18 personal customers. Residents of Republic of Ireland only. Fees and charges, terms and conditions apply. Awarded Bunkers.ie Best Current Account 2022. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
5-star luxury has a new look. Carton House, a Fairmont hotel just 25 minutes from Dublin and Ireland's first Fairmont property. Enjoy award-winning fine dining in the Morrison Room, lunch at Kathleen's Kitchen, or afternoon tea in the exquisite Gold Salon. Explore the stunning grounds of this 1,100-acre estate. Choose from many of our on-site activities or simply relax in our award-winning spa and wellness suite. To book your luxury Fairmont 5-star getaway this August, visit cartonhouse.com.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, don't miss Newcastle versus Man City on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports.
Welcome back. It's the football show on this Thursday night. Of course, we know earlier on Shamrock Rovers beaten 4-0 away to Ferencváros in the playoff round of the Europa League. The second leg to come at Tallaght Stadium next week. And West Ham in the Conference League playoffs tonight. They have beaten Viborg of Denmark by 3-1 at the London Stadium. A first goal for their big summer signing from Sassuolo, Gianluca Scamacca, on 23 minutes. Jared Bowen doubled their lead just after the hour mark. And then Mikel Antonio on as a sub made it 3-1 with 12 minutes to go. But from an Irish perspective, great news for Conor Coventry. He replaced Declan Rice in the starting 11 tonight and played the full, well, not played the full, but played 85 minutes for the Hammers before being replaced by Flynn Downs with 5 minutes to go. A great chance for the Republic of Ireland under-21 midfielder to impress his manager David Moyes, especially with a gap to fill with the side parting and all of Mark Noble gone in the pre-season due to retirement. So Conor Coventry stepping into his boots tonight, by all accounts as well. Just seeing some of the rave reviews that are coming in from tonight too, performing rather well against the Danes of Viborg. John Giles is on the line. John, as we mentioned, it's been a pretty sticky start for Liverpool so far this season. I think everybody kind of said, okay, fair enough, Fulham actually were really on it in that first game of the season, and then they kind of did again become unstuck against Crystal Palace this past Monday. What have you made of Liverpool so far? And I know we had the sending off of Darwin Núñez as well to contend with on Monday. What have you made of Liverpool's start to the season so far?
Well, it's the results have been disappointing for them, obviously. I thought Fulham were very, very good against them, really gave them a good hard match. And so did Crystal Palace. You know, Crystal Palace were well organised. Patrick Vieira's done a good job there. They went ahead. Saha scored a good goal. He's playing centre forward, which I think is his best position. And you know, as we know, the Núñez, is it?
Yeah.
Núñez got sent off, Richie. I don't think he'll do that again, because I think Klopp won't stand for that nonsense. No, he just won't. I mean, Klopp has a hold on all those players, and they're generally speaking, they've been very, very good.
They're not a team that gets red cards usually. That's the one thing that struck me, and it was kind of the unusual aspect of all this, is that they're not, like, disciplinary wise, they're usually fairly sound. Very good. Yeah. I mean, Klopp's record with Liverpool for players being sent off has been excellent. I don't think he stands for any nonsense like that. I don't think that'll happen again as far as he's concerned. So his discipline has been really, really top notch. But they haven't hit the real game yet. You know, I think
like in midfield with the Fabinho, I didn't think Fabinho played well. I don't like him and don't rate him that much. Milner, Henderson. I think Thiago is the best of them to get a grip of the ball in the middle of the field in certain matches.
Yeah.
And he was injured, as we know. But I think it wasn't an easy start for Liverpool. They can play better, but I think it's madness on the papers I've seen a few of them writing them off, Richie.
Yeah, there's been
with
people
Manchester
kind of saying
City getting a good start. I think that's absolute nonsense.
City have looked good so far, but there have been these I guess it's a dint of how many points Liverpool did manage to accrue over the last 5-6 seasons. Like, you're talking about getting 90 plus points became almost quote unquote normal for a team like that, and to see them dropping 4 in their first 2 games, people are kind of ringing alarm bells. But you kind of feel it's too soon to be writing. Particularly, look at the title race we got last year, and people are writing them off, I guess.
Yeah, well, was it last year at Christmas time they were about 16 points behind?
And the rest, yeah.
And it went on. Don't forget that going to the last match of the season, Liverpool were winning it with about 15 minutes to go. At that stage, City were down, and they were getting in front. So it's much too early for some of the papers that I've seen that they've a lot to do. Obviously, they've a lot to do anyway with Manchester City. But the time I didn't see the Manchester City match last week. I know they won well, and the main man didn't score.
Yeah.
But the previous match, West Ham match, when they won 2. Which I didn't think they played well. I might have said this on your program last week.
I think you did, yeah.
They had whatever 800 or 680
passes.
But the ball was going out to Grealish, and instead of taking the full back on or vice versa, it was coming back into their own half. That's not good play. I know it's possession, but it's not good play. But they did get 4 goals at the weekend.
So it shows that they're not entirely reliant on Haaland either, though. That's the point
that's a biggie as well. You know what I mean? So it's. I think it's far too early to say that Liverpool are out of it and Man City are going to win it. There's a long, long way to go, Richie. And I think Liverpool will definitely come back. They've done it before. They have the players, and I think there'll be no easy run. I don't think, for Manchester City, by any means.
Yeah, injuries haven't been kind to Liverpool so far this season. They were down to bare bones in defence. I know Ibrahima Konate has been out. They had injury worries over Joel Matip as well. I think they're looking to get him back fit for the trip to Old Trafford. Like, that's the big one now. There's such a big question mark over this game on Monday night. Manchester United playing host to Liverpool. United have been utterly dire so far this season. But again, we said it last year and we were made mugs of then in the studio, because you kind of figure, well, if there's any game United can raise their game for, it's against Liverpool, and then Liverpool end up embarrassing them. But this year we kind of have that question mark, whereas Liverpool haven't hit their stride just yet. So
no, but we know they can, Richie. Yeah. Like Liverpool don't have a problem as such. I mean, they've had 2 results that could have been better, but they don't have the problems that Manchester United have. Yeah. I mean, Liverpool will definitely get better as the season goes on, and they might start at Old Trafford next week. But what you do know is that all the players that go out for Liverpool are going to have a go. They're going to have a go, Richie. They mightn't play as well sometimes as they can do. I don't think they've played as well this season yet. Only 2 matches that they can. But there's nothing wrong with their attitude.
And you'd kind of question, their attitude is always, I think, always the one thing that's always about, 8, 9 out of 10. But the other side of that is you'd kind of question where Manchester United can actually cause them problems too. Yeah, well, one thing we do know, that Liverpool will do their best and they'll be well organised. We don't know what Manchester United's going to do. But what my experience in football, it's very, very difficult to switch it on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, football is week in, week out. You do it every week, every match, and you know exactly what everybody else is doing and how the team is, like Liverpool have done, and Manchester City, and to a certain extent, but now Spurs have come into it. We just don't know what's going to happen to Manchester United. But I don't think there's any magic potions that you can get into the dressing room to make them the team that they should be
on against Liverpool on next week.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work for sure.
Yeah.
Are you surprised Liverpool actually haven't strengthened the midfield in the summer? Because, like you mentioned, James Milner is now in his mid-30s, obviously enough. I think he's 36 now at this stage, 37. Jordan Henderson's obviously getting up in age as well. Thiago is so injury prone now, it seems. It's really difficult to get a run of 6-7 games unbroken from him. Are you surprised Klopp didn't have a bit of a dabble and decide to put some fresh legs into midfield this summer?
I wouldn't have been surprised if he did.
Yeah.
I think the way they've played over the energy that they've done, I mean, they've been absolutely brilliant, Liverpool. But they haven't had a Graham Souness for years. I'm going Graham because Graham was one of the great midfield players that could actually control the game. They've been very, very good at the back and very, very good at the front. And they've had good players in midfield, but not outstanding player that can get a real grip of the game, Richie.
Sure.
I think Thiago is probably the best, which I said early on, but he's been injured, and he's not a Souness either. I think that they could do with somebody, a general in midfield, Liverpool, with all the other players that they have. But certainly I wouldn't write them off by any means. I think I tipped them early on, before the season started, to go against Manchester City, because I thought Manchester City were dependent too much on a couple of players and they weren't doing it as well as they should. So I wouldn't ride back from that either.
Okay.
I think the season is very, 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 very early. I think Liverpool will come good and get better as the season goes on.
I want to touch on the other game that was on TV last week. I know you saw this one as well, and you touched on Forest earlier on. They had 8 new signings in that game against West Ham on Sunday last. So now I was on commentary for it here in News Talk, and I don't know about you, I was really impressed by Forest. And for a team that had 8 new signings in their starting 11, and they've had another, I think it's 5 since then. I've come into the side. I've come into the squad, at least they've been bought since Saturday night. They looked really good. They looked, and the atmosphere at the City Ground absolutely hopping from first minute to last.
Yeah.
Didn't look like they were overawed by the occasion at all against a team that got deep into the Europa League territory last season. Forest looked like they could actually take points off a few sides this season. Well,
obviously the manager's been backed. Steve Cooper.
Yeah.
He's done a really top class job at Forest. But what you find with him, there's no doubt the owners or the board there have backed him to get those players in, Richie. They believe in him, and he's done the job, and he's got a good spirit going. They played very well. It's early days, yeah. But I think that's the way to do it from Notts Forest's point of view. I think Fulham have come up. I don't think they bought anybody. And who's the other team that came up?
Bournemouth came up last season as well. They've been kind of more cautious, I guess, probably is the word you use in terms of the market, yeah.
Well, they're not doing what Forest did. They haven't got loads of players in, and that's the way to do it. Obviously, if you can afford to do it. But this manager has done a really, really good job, and they did look very. I thought they were. I watched most of the match, Richie, and they were very good. They were very impressive. I thought they beat West Ham well on the night, and I thought West Ham actually in the 2 matches I've seen them look a little bit tired. They look a little bit tired to me against City in the first match and that match the other day. But Forest really, really came good and obviously going the right way.
Yeah, there's a few rough edges. Obviously, they need to get Taiwo Awoniyi, who was playing up front for them, was offside more than any striker I've seen the last while. But obviously, he got the goal, and a bit of a fluke it was as well.
Yeah.
Good players in midfield. Lewis O'Brien I was very impressed with, and Dean Henderson, I guess, as well, who was on loan from Manchester United. We shouldn't discount him. But you mentioned there, West Ham, they obviously they won tonight. They beat Viborg 3-1.
Yeah.
That is what it is. But I got that as well, that they looked. There's still a bit of a hangover from last season, and there's somebody else who hasn't really bought many players in during the course of the summer, when it looked like that was the one thing they needed to do. And David Moyes, I guess, is this manager who likes to operate with a small, neat squad. He doesn't want too many hangers on. He likes to know who he's dealing with, and that's fine. But as we saw last season, when you're playing 50-60 games, your players get wrecked if you've got a squad of 18, or if you're only using essentially 15-16 of them.
Yeah, I think he'd like more.
Yeah,
I think he'd like more players in, Richie. I don't think they've been very, very kind to him in the transfer market, and he's done extremely well with the players that he's got in. But as you say, they could do it maybe 2 really good signings in the summer just to give them another G up.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happens with players like that. But I didn't see the match
tonight.
Tonight. I saw most of the Forest match. I saw the Liverpool match, and they didn't have the same go in them.
Yeah.
That I saw last year.
Yeah, Declan Rice looked tired for sure on Sunday, and that penalty I think kind of was evidence of that, and he was rested tonight then against Viborg. Conor Coventry, the Ireland under-21 lads, came in and played very, very well by all accounts. Before we let you go, John, as well, we have to touch on Leeds because it's not been a bad start to the season. I don't think many people would have expected them to beat Wolves on the opening day. There've been kind of, warnings about what Jesse Marsh may or may not do this season, but to, I guess, throw away a winning position against Southampton is something that isn't great, but it's recoverable, I guess.
Well, I think they'll concede a lot of goals.
Right.
That's what I find. So they need now. Are they going to be scoring enough to do what needs to be done? I mean, the goals against Southampton last night were very poor, and I think there's still a bit of Bielsa in them that they're all go when they're going forward. Richie,
they have to be deprogrammed a little bit.
Yeah. I think that they're going to have to score a lot of more goals than other teams. I think they'll concede quite a few goals.
Yeah.
But they made a reasonable start. There's no doubt about that.
Another injury as well to Patrick Bamford too, which isn't ideal.
No. Well, he's the main goal scorer. Has been, and he was out all last season.
Yeah.
They missed him badly, and it looks like he's going to be out for a while again. So, I think they'll have matches where spells and matches where they'll be really good, Richie, and from nothing, like they did against Southampton, lose a goal or two.
Yeah.
But they'll be on the go. They'll be go all the time.
Well, so listen, 4 points from 6 I don't think is a bad start to the season.
It's a good start for them. Yeah.
Good platform on which to build. John, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to take up an hour of your time tonight. Thank you so much for taking the call anyway, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Or not tomorrow.
Okay.
Next week, next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. John, thanks so much.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Don't miss Leeds take on Chelsea on Super Sunday. Live only on Sky Sports.
DoneDeal has the largest range of new cars in Ireland from Ireland's trusted premium car dealerships. That's why you will find Lexus BlackRock on DoneDeal. Visit Lexus BlackRock's showroom on DoneDeal today and connect with them for great 222 offers. DoneDeal for new car offers to feel great about from all of Ireland's trusted car dealerships.
Warm up to big savings with the Woodies Home Event, where we've got everything you need to spruce up your home for less. Like 50% off our home furniture range. Buy one, get one half price on Dulux standard coloured emulsion. And 4 for 3 on all laminate flooring and tiles. Offers for a limited time only, so start planning your next project today. Shop the way that suits you, in store, online, or with click and collect. Woodies, we're all homemakers. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
This is the way I used to talk, but then I started to sing. Now, thanks to Ciara and Sing Strong, my COPD doesn't hold me back.
Ciara helps Teresa, so we help Ciara with the Bank of